treatment upgrade. And then it goes on, Brown Station Road, sanitary landfill leachate treatment capacity to 60,000 gallons per day, GPD proposed upgrades to internal equipment of existing building and new, and then it cuts off there, obviously, because there's not enough room for the rest of the description. But there's obviously some kind of development or redevelopment occurring in conjunction with your leachate collection.
That associated with Area C?
Yeah, so we do have within the capital improvement program, the CIP projects, there is a project to upgrade the pre-treatment, the leachate pre-treatment plant. That's correct.
Is that subject to public hearing since this is part of this report?
I do not believe so.
Interesting.
Is so this for Area C, or is this just generally it was prior to Area C that they were going to be upgrading it anyway?
Yeah, it would have been done regardless.
Okay. Is there additional capacity being added for Area C being added to it, or?
I'll have to get back to you to see if it's increasing the throughput or not.
Because I would assume that the Area C will add additional leachate to the process, won't it?
Yeah, there will be additional leachate as some of the leachate wanes down from like the closed Area A, and eventually B, you know, there'll be more generated in the new active Area C.
Where exactly is the leachate treatment facility? I gather this is a building of some sort.
It is. It's on the landfill property.
Yeah.
And Kevin, did you post the presentation that Bruce O'Dell provided? Because I know there was a map on there of this, the overall aerial view of like the site, and it showed where all the different buildings are.
Hold on, let me.
It also showed the storage tanks.
Okay, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's put that on hold. We now have, we're joined by Nayla and David, so we'll get started on the meeting if that's okay with you guys. Mm-hmm. But Kevin, if you could find that, that would be great to send out. And if we have any further questions, we can entertain them at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and if somebody could clearly articulate what the process is for that application, if it doesn't require any public participation, that's fine. I'd just like to know what the process is.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a note also. Okay. I'll summarize that at the end, so both Nayla and David will know what we're talking about. So welcome everybody. Just going to call the meeting to order at 6:07. We do have a quorum now, so we can proceed with business. Also make a note, won't do a formal roll call, but we'll note that Jonathan, Mr. Cola, Barbara are absent. I think that's it. Okay, so we're going to start tonight. We're going to talk about, just review again, our work we did last month on committees, and we put together, we have, I sent out to everybody by email later this afternoon, the committees that we had agreed to last time, and with everyone who are the members of those committees, which was education and outreach, legislation, future solid waste management, the greenhouse gas emissions, and the reduce and reuse committees. Does everybody who's at least here today know which committees they're on? If okay, I've sent out as I said, I've sent out that list in an email. I also sent with that a description that I drafted for the reduce and reuse committee. Oh my goodness. Yay, Marilyn, there you are.
I have a camera today.
All right. So what I'd like to do is maybe for someone in your committee to take the lead on your particular committee. And if your committee members could talk to each other and someone could draft a description of your committee. I mean, it could just be a couple of sentences that says, you know, this is what we're here to do. It needs to also meet the criteria in the legislation. So you can't go outside the boundaries of what our assigned duties are, the responsibilities, but they're pretty broad. But it would be very nice to be able to tell people what these committees are really about, very generally. And then I went ahead and I think might be a really nice idea. I put one goal, and it's a draft goal, and I'll discuss it with the committee members. A suggestion, something we've been discussing, which is the possibility of developing a white paper for a North County convenience center. There's been a lot of talk about this over the years. Anyway, I don't know if the people here, if you all for your respective committees would be willing to take the lead. So let's see, education is Mr. Kola, not Nayla and Barbara. I don't know, Nayla, if you'd like to sort of take a stab at that or work with your committee members.
Yes, I just want to say a quick thing. Nyla,
sure.
Nyla, because it's being mispronounced.
Oh, Nyla. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So when it comes to outreach, yeah, I wanted to do or organize at least seasonal kind of events, like educationally related ones, or tours. Those are some ideas I have. I don't know how others are feeling with that, all the others on the committee I'm on, but I'd be welcome to do that. And meet weekly or bi-weekly.
So if you could connect, Mr. Cole is out of the country. I'm not sure when he's returning. I presume it won't be too much longer. He's been gone for a while. And Barbara, and the three of you could talk, and somebody could write up just a couple sentence description of the education and outreach, what your committee's purpose is. And then you could make a goal or two. You could put down that, you know, you want to host 2 events or support events or something like that. Create a tour or what have you, whatever it is you all
I think
like to. Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
I think some of these committees had descriptions written up previously.
Okay, do you know where that would be great. Do you know where they are?
They've got to be someplace in the record, and I'm not sure exactly where. Bill, since you seem to be an archivist, do you have any records that show when we formed committees earlier with descriptions? Or maybe
I'd have to look off of memory. I can't recall whether we do, you know, I have anything like that.
It may have been in the annual report where we discussed that we established committees and what their roles were when the annual report was filed, but I'm not positive of that. But I think at some point there were some descriptions prepared for committees.
Okay. Okay, great. If that's the case, maybe Bill can look. I can also look in the annual report. If they want to just jot some notes, that would be great. The goals would be new. So if you want to write a goal or two, that would be great. And even just have some draft for our next meeting. And not sure if we're going to meet in August. We can discuss that, but that would be great. But there's 2 new committees, and one of them is a greenhouse. Yeah, so the greenhouse gas committee. So Dave, maybe you could talk to your people about doing that. Because that's a new one. There wouldn't be anything in the record.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so, and I will continue. I will send something out just to follow up with Bill and see if we have any of that material and double check the annual report. Thanks, Chuck. We'll see if we have something. That would be great. But we'd like each committee to have at least one goal. So when we go to do the report next year, we can say, here's what we've been doing. Here's something we set out to do, and here's some things we've accomplished. Okay, great. Okay, the council. So Barbara and I met with Council Chair Tom Dernoga and the Transportation, Infrastructure, Energy, and Environment Committee Chair Eric Olson about a week ago. I did follow up with a thank you. It was just sort of a wide-ranging conversation about what's happening with solid waste and some of the environmental concerns and what role this commission can play. So I think the most important thing that came out of the meeting with them were a couple things. One, probably the most important, was that, and our legislation says that this can happen, and I don't think anyone's ever done it before, but they're going to appoint an ex officio appointee to the commission, and both the county executive's office and the council can do that. And it'll be really nice because we'll have somebody from the council who will have regular communication with us. They'll attend our meetings and they'll provide help and support for some other things that we may need. I tried to find out who that person would be in advance of this meeting, but they did not get back with me. So hopefully by next month, we'll know something. We also discussed the Better Bag Bill, which we're going to discuss a little bit tonight. That went through the committee, the TIEE committee that Eric Olson chairs. That was a big advance. And so there's questions about, I think that Department of Environment is responsible primarily, although not necessarily solely, for that, for rolling that out. So anyway, so I sent a thank you letter to them with a little summary. I will also put that in our file, which, by the way, if you are not able to get into our shared files, which is, we're hoping to really try to keep up with that, please let me or Kevin know, and we can try to help you get in there. Okay, the outreach and education conversation we're going to have, Barbara had some items and she's not here, so I'm going to table that for the next meeting. So we're going to go into Marilyn, did you put your hand up?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, nope.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go into a report from the Greenhouse Gas Committee, and that's Dave. Can you talk a little bit about some of, we have a couple items.
Yeah, I think heading this committee, what I'm going to try to do is have between our monthly meetings, have one or more committee meetings, so that we're actively engaged and working on things.
Great.
And there's 3 people on the committee: myself, Barbara, and Jonathan. And I'm hoping that fairly soon, maybe in this coming week, we can have a committee meeting to start discussing how we're going to work. Since prior to this meeting, I actually have been thinking about some questions that we would like to get answered, and it's a series of questions. I'm not sure whether I should mention them all tonight, but maybe I could talk just briefly about some of the questions I have, and I think some of the questions that the rest of the commission has regarding greenhouse gas emissions, in particular Brown Station, and how Brown Station may or may not be contributing to methane or other greenhouse gases. One of the things that we've been concerned with, and as we've mentioned over a number of meetings, is the fact that there is now the pipeline which runs from Brown Station to the county correction facility has been down for now, I think, a couple of years. And we've been told a number of times that it's about ready, 95% complete. I don't know if that's the study, if that's getting someone hired to actually replace that pipeline, but really would like to understand why it's taken so long. I don't think it's anything. I don't think the gas pipeline is anything unusual. We have gas lines all over the country, and just kind of curious, I think, to want to know why this hasn't moved forward sooner. And as a result of that, we've had to be flaring gas now for several years and paying.
But if I recall correctly, during one of the briefings, one of the issues that was still outstanding was where the pipeline crosses a stream bed underneath a bridge, and how they were going to deal with that issue.
That's correct.
That seemed to be what was holding it up. Am I wrong, Marilyn?
No, that's correct. I thought I went into some detail. I believe it was during the May meeting specifically about the pipeline project.
Yeah, but Marilyn, that doesn't sound like we're trying to put an astronaut on the moon. It seems like that's something that doesn't have to take 2 or 3 years to resolve and get in place. So I'm just curious why it's still taking so long to make that happen.
So the status we had been providing was it was at 95% completion. Nothing's changed. DPI has a review comment that is still with DPI that has not been worked out, and nothing has changed. And that is with respect to whether or not they are going to require the pipe to go in the stream, or if it can remain replacement. We're calling it in kind, because currently the way the pipeline crosses the bridge, it's encased within the concrete structure of the bridge, and therefore no stream work is required. Obviously, I think the Office of Central Services and our department would prefer to see the pipe alignment the same in kind as it is now. And because if DPI, if their ultimate decision, which we don't have yet, is that it cannot be in kind, meaning through the encasement of the concrete of the bridge, and we have to go through the stream, the project's going to be significantly delayed, and the cost is going to increase significantly. So
is it possible to reach out to them again to get an update on where they are in the process, since it's been several months? I mean, maybe you've heard from them since we've heard from, or since you've updated us, but it seems like an update of the status of their review or their concerns would be appropriate at this point, since it's been several months, at least.
Yeah, what I'll do is tomorrow I'll reach out and see where they are with that. I know some work has been done with respect to estimates, but yeah, I can follow back up on that.
Thank
but
you.
But I do, as of today, because I did check on it with our director this morning, and as of today, we don't have any updates, with respect to DPI. But I'll ask again tomorrow to see if we can get something one way or another.
Do they have a schedule that they're supposed to adhere to, or they can just take their sweet time to do it as they feel?
DPI, it's very interesting. And there's even a statement that they put out publicly on the webpage with respect to asking the public and customers basically to have patience, because they have so many plans being reviewed and they're understaffed. But that's something I don't want to really go into, because I can't, and I don't want to speak for another department, but there is a public statement on the website under DPI's page that you can kind of read for yourself, and that just kind of puts it in perspective. It does take a long time to get the DPI reviews and comments, and usually, it goes back and forth several times. And, permitting takes a little bit of time, or a lot of time, I should say.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that costs people a lot of money in their delays, which they don't absorb, but the people have to, and it's hindering, development within the county and everything else, because they can't manage to fulfill their obligations as to what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. And we don't even want to get into the how they're supposed to do it, because I just went through a thing with them last week, and those people are I won't even say anything, but anyway.
I understand.
Worthless.
No,
I'll follow back up, but unfortunately tonight I have, and again, I did check on it this morning, and there was no update from when I spoke from the May meeting.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marilyn. It's at least good. It's good to know that that may be where the holdup has been, and hopefully we can get DPI to move along.
Yeah.
I have an experience, and this has nothing to do with stormwater management or pipelines, but it's part of DPI's responsibility of monitoring and permitting a development really close to my house, and that there was lots of stream pollution for over 9 months, and we got some of the same questions or answers or inaction. And I just think that and I've been told they're understaffed and they're not properly trained. So maybe there's something we all need to be doing to try to get that agency in a better shape. That's
Class action suit.
We'd like to also, and there's some other questions which I think we're going to just submit to DOE or MES. I think a question that's come to my mind is, I know at least one of your other landfills, the Sandy Spring landfill, which is now a closed landfill, there is a flare there. Are there other landfills in the county that are either open or closed that are run by the county, and do they have flares?
No, we only have the closed Sandy Hill landfill and the active Brown Station Road sanitary landfill.
The other landfills that are there, I think there are some other landfills that are closed. Is there? I guess there's no way then.
I'm not aware of any other sanitary landfill closed in Prince George.
Dave, I think you may be referring to class 1, 2, or 3 fills, and they're not county fills. They're privately operated, and they're generally not the kind of fills that take things that would require flaring or that have, rubber and stone and.
Yeah, I thought there was another one actually somewhere in Bowie, but I may be mistaken. But okay. Yeah.
I've been at this for many years, and I'm only aware of the one at Brown Station Road and the one that used to be in Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sandy Hill. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Marilyn, this is I'm wondering about the methane study that may take place at Brown Station sometime in the future with the University of Maryland, NIST, and MDE. And it's my understanding that they're very close to concluding some type of a negotiation and they can get started. Do you know where that stands right now? Or?
Yes, so I do have, yep, I do have an update on that. We do have the, it's actually like the federal government's template, if you will, of a non-disclosure agreement that the federal government uses because the group could not execute or go into like the county's type of agreement that we have at the non-disclosure agreement. But it has been reviewed by our Office of Law. I have it back, and I just got it back today, and I don't even think I've transmitted to Kevin yet, but Kevin will have it tomorrow to send to Professor Dickerson for their signature, and then the county signature. So we're very close to having that executed, and then they will begin their study.
Well, that's very good news. And I'm sorry, could you, I remember the non-disclosure agreement was a point of contention. Is that whatever comes as a result of the study, that will then be open for public information?
Yeah, so basically, yes, any of their information that, comes out of the study will be you know, public information. The one thing that the county will have opportunity to do though is to review any of the data or anything, just to make sure that there's no anything incorrectly stated or any mistakes are made. That's all. But yes, it will be all public information.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and like for instance, with respect to like confidential documents, one thing they wanted us to do, for instance, was, well, you know, for us to identify, well, what's confidential, that we label it. But we really don't have any information to label to tell them it's confidential, you know, because we're fully cooperating in the study. And again, it's just before the data is released, you know, the county will have opportunity, you know, within so many days to just review it for simply the accurate, you know, to make sure things are accurate. That's all. Yep.
Marilyn, when I believe the university was doing the flyovers over the last couple of years or something, I guess will that be part of the regimen again? And will they also be doing ground measurements and testing?
Yeah, I don't know if it includes a flyover, but I do know they are bringing in they actually brought it to the site for us to see it. It's a mobile unit that they have, and they talked about erecting or some, I don't know how many, either a tower or, you know, one or more towers on the landfill at certain locations to also, you know, install like a monitoring system on those towers.
Yeah, Marlon, just to add, they will be using multiple tools, methods to do the research. So it will be a mix of methodologies to achieve the objectives of the research.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really
David, do you want to explain just
quite good.
Just be sure everybody understands what the study is? Or Marilyn or Kevin?
Kevin can explain it.
Sure. So basically the research seeks to identify tools and methods to measure methane using multiple platforms. It can be remote, it can be on the ground, it can be from above. So the objective really is for landfills like the Brown Station sanitary landfill to have the necessary tools, to be equipped with the necessary tools to measure methane. And one of the goals of this research is eventually to publish and share it with, you know, other jurisdictions or other, you know, other local governments, so that there will be some reference or measurements to determine methane emission from landfills. So that's basically the goal of this research. Come up with tools and methods to measure methane, landfill methane.
And our understanding is they're also conducting a study at Anne Arundel County's landfill as well. So it's not just the Prince George's landfill.
Mm-hmm. And I think when I was first on this committee almost 2 years ago now, I think there was discussion about the fact that there was discrepancies between what the University of Maryland was finding in its flyovers and what was being estimated, I guess, by the county. And so maybe this will help us determine exactly if there is methane or what quantities might be being emitted. So I think this is really a fantastic thing that is happening here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we do have our own, of course, you know, monitoring systems in place at the landfill, which then those readings, you know, we get that data and that's what goes over to MDE. So like Kevin stated, this will be some different methodologies that they utilize, you know, to see, you know, I guess what we'll find out is, you know, do the numbers match? Are they different? Where are they differing? And things like that.
So the methodology that the county is currently using was developed by whatever expertise yourselves, MES, and other outside people might have brought to it, or is it more based on some other methodology that's been in use other places and you just brought it over to use at Brown Station, or who knows?
So it would have been engineered to be and to meet, like the RICA, MDEs, all the regular EPA, all the regulatory requirements.
But it was oriented specifically or developed specifically for Brown Station. It wasn't anything that was modeled someplace else and you brought it in and adapted it to it, or?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I'd have to,
okay.
Yeah.
Bill, I can send you this study that that I'd sent out to a few people about the pre-work that identified Brown Station Road as a hotspot. And that there were various, like NIST, National Institute for Standards and Technology, was involved, and other experts on measurement. So there's a whole measurement methodology that they have. And of course, everything's particular to the site, but the methodology, I think, are based on academic work.
Okay.
So, and I'm happy to send that study out.
Yeah. I'd like to see it if you.
Yeah, I'm happy. I sent it to a couple of people, but I'll send it to you too.
Thank you.
I actually accidentally sent something else and resent it, so. But that's helpful. Marilyn, I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, especially some of the ground monitoring that will be done. I mean, because our facility is surrounded by wetlands, which naturally, of course, emits gases. So we're hoping that, some solid data might come out of that too.
Well, I think it's been neat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say if they're able to put any of these towers, like at the base or right near the wetlands, opposed to like maybe right on top of one of the areas, or just to get the differences of what's occurring with what they're picking up on these monitors.
So the permitting that's been done for Area C, is it going to follow that same methodology that you're currently using, or is it still to be determined based on the results of possibly the study once it's completed?
Well, I can't go in. I don't have enough information to go into any detail because I don't want to misspeak on anything. But the MDE, the Maryland Department of the Environment, I believe, and Kevin can correct me anywhere where I might be misspeaking here, but I believe that there's been some regulations passed in the state of Maryland that that they're stricter. I'll say the word stricter. Methane gas collection systems that have to be in place, and I believe the county's landfill. I believe all landfills are going to fall under this, including any new, opening of any areas like we're doing. And so moving forward with, a design on a methane gas collection system, it's going to have to, of course, meet whatever the state's regulations call for. Mm-hmm. But Kevin, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think that's basically the meat of that legislation, requiring strict, more rigid monitoring system for landfills.
So you're going to have to change your current standard to meet this new one, or are they grandfathered in under? So it's only what's going forward, not what is already currently in place. Not just for yourselves, but for across the state, since it's a state requirement.
Yeah, I don't, and we can get back in more detail on this because I really don't want to misspeak. I don't think any, as far as like grandfathering, like, when you're talking about like we're opening Area C, I do not believe there's any grandfathering clause with respect to that. I think if there was a landfill over a certain year that's been capped and closed, and I don't even remember what that year is, then that would not fall under this new regulation. But certainly Brown Station Road, I believe it appears to me it's going to fall completely under this new regulation. But, you know, let us, we'll get some better answers, because I really just don't want to misspeak on it.
Sure.
But that's been something, you know, it's a valid question. It's, you know, something that we're anxiously sort of seeing how we go through the process to meet these new regulations, because we also know that they're costly. So I don't quite have the full picture yet, but whatever the standards and the regulations are, we will have to meet those regulations.
Okay.
I feel certain about that.
Right.
Well, I just want to say, I don't think we have to, I think it's important to understand that the study is based on an understanding of looking at the way that methane's been measured and not as accurately as what can be measured now with the current set of tools. And my understanding is that there's been everyone's been off. It's not anything particular to us, to Prince George's County. It's there's been there was another group of people apparently that did other flyovers all over the East Coast. They found exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's not particular to us. It's particular to the state of the industry, the standard of measurement, and the way that the landfills have been, you know, we're talking about very large landfills that have been managed. So my understanding is that some recommendations will likely come out of the study that will increase our capacity to reduce the methane. And that's good. That's what we want. We want to improve what we're doing every chance we get. It may or may not be a huge amount more cost. I think it has a lot to do with the ways, my understanding of the way that the soil is handled and things like that. So I will wait and see, but it seems like it's really a gain for us. I mean, I think we can feel like we're being picked on a little bit, but I don't really think that's the case. I think that we can take this as an opportunity to be leadership across Maryland, but also across the country in a way, with participating in this study. So I think it'll only benefit us and give us a chance to do what we're doing much better. So Dave.
Nicely stated, Nancy.
Thank you. So I actually would think about for us is to maybe put that into a letter and send to the department and the council and say, we think this is a terrific opportunity for the county to continue its leadership on these issues, and that this is a great partnership between these federal, state, and local agencies. So that's my thought. Dave?
Nancy, you're breaking up a bit.
Oh.
Nancy, you're breaking up a bit.
Let me check.
I think that's all I have. That's all I have right now for my report.
Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna check my.
Yeah, I could hear you fine.
Yeah.
I'm not having an issue.
Yeah, I'm connected. I just double checked.
So, Nancy, just to make sure, for my and Kevin's to-do list, I have one question here related to the methane that we will get back to you on for Mr. Bosch and the team here, or the committee, is with respect to the methane
pipeline.
Well, okay. Well, I was just talking, this is more specifically to the new regs. How will the new regs affect Area C methane gas collection? Just the broader.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
That would be helpful. Although I think I did at one point send out to people. I think I had downloaded a copy of it's a very thick, Dave, I think I sent it to you. I'm not sure who else. It's quite a tome.
Now, and also,
but it'd be a lot easier for you to answer the question.
Okay. I'll just stop there. Okay.
Okay, and then I think there's Dave, there's a question about the issue with DPI, I guess. I mean,
Right.
I guess we could also do something about request for information from them.
Well, I had one more comment. So Andrea Crooms replied to you today, Nancy, and I'm not sure if you were able to share.
I did. I replied.
Right. Were you able to share the responses to SWAC?
I sent it to everybody.
Okay. Because she mentioned with respect to the methane gas, she had mentioned in one of the responses something to the effect that the county has an NOI forthcoming that will be publicly released in about a week or two, and we will make sure that SWAC has the link to that. Are you aware of what she's talking about there?
No.
Okay.
I didn't read all the questions. I read her note and I skimmed the questions and then forwarded it, but I'll go back.
Okay. And I'm assuming here that NOI means, you know, like a notice of intent, right? So right. So what we are working on is through the use of our contractor, the Maryland Environmental Service, or MES, a request for proposals, RFP is what we call it, request for proposals, will be going out either next week or certainly no later than 2 weeks from today's date, exactly for that request for proposals for interested parties to provide us with a proposal with respect to what to do, what they would do or build, construct with respect to the county's methane gas generation, and then, you know, of course, who the off-taker would be of that gas, etc. There's going to be a lot of data information in that. You know, it's very technical, of course, but that's the document that she wants to make sure, you know, Kevin will share with SWAC here.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes, and you know, so going back to the pipeline, because we've always sort of within our department over the past couple of years, I'll say that our director and we tend to agree that there may be a better or a more advantageous use of the landfill gas, more, you know, maybe even more beneficial to the environment, maybe more beneficial from a standpoint of, you know, a financial arrangement or whatever, that might be better than piping it to the Department of Corrections. So we don't know, based on these proposals that come back, it does not contract the county into any obligation with anybody, but that will certainly give the county some information to see if the county does then want to go out to, you know, put a bid out to do something differently rather than, you know, the pipeline, or it may be in conjunction with the pipeline. But so that's not the delay for the pipeline, is completely different, but it's not necessarily right now, since DPI, which is a completely different issue with respect to the alignment of the pipe and whether we have to do the stream work or not. This pause actually could end up being an unintended beneficial pause based on this request for proposal going out.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question. So is the thinking, because there's definitely, and it's in the 10-year report, a loss of revenue, or a net loss with the flaring versus using the gas, of the approximately 400, but I've heard it's probably much greater, 400,000 per year. So is there thinking that somehow there's a greater, you know, significantly greater benefit in terms of, I assume it's mostly financial, because the gas is going to be used, the same end result of CO2 happens, pretty much however it's used. So I'm wondering, you know, is the thinking behind that there will be, you know, a much greater benefit from, instead of the county using the gas for its own energy system, and I guess selling it. I don't know what the other options would be, basically.
Yeah, I think so. It could actually, the gas could end up being cleaned, you know, being a better quality or being clean. So there could be very well a better environmental aspect to it, as well as perhaps maybe even a better financial, you know, better, you know, revenue coming back to the county. So it could be cleaner gas with better revenue. So it could address both things, environmentally and financially.
Okay.
But that's the purpose of putting out the RFP, so that we can find these kinds of things out.
Opportunities.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you. That's real interesting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's helpful to know in advance. So yeah, we'll look forward to getting that. Anything else, Dave?
That's all I have.
Okay. Welcome, Jonathan. I'm not sure when you came on, and I'm sorry. It could have been 20 minutes ago. I don't know, but I'm glad you're here.
Sorry about that. I was having technical issues, so I'm glad I could log in. I was having issues with my Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, thanks. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is the Better Bag Bill. I just wanted to mention this. I sent everybody a copy of the legislation. It's not complex legislation. You can read it. It was approved through the TIEE committee, which basically is a committee that oversees us. I have to say thanks to the Prince George's County Sierra Club, who did a lot of work in the community to make this happen. And basically, like several other counties, it basically, the stores will stop as of midnight on December 31st, 2023. They will start handing out plastic bags in the grocery stores. You'll have to pay for a paper bag if you want a paper bag from the store. So I'm excited that this is happening, and that I think it'll really help the landfill and our processing of materials. So I did send the bill. I think everybody needs to know. I did ask, would like to have a better idea, and it may be premature, but sort of how the county plans to roll it out, what they plan to do. I know it's another probably big task. I don't know, Marilyn, if you have anything you want to say at this point. But we're excited that it happened, but I know it's a lot of work for somebody.
Yeah, so it will be primarily, maybe not exclusively, but primarily our department's.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kevin.
Responsibility to conduct the outreach campaign for it. Of course, everything that our department does with respect to communications gets vetted through our county executives team. But we are working on a draft plan for that outreach. And of course, we'll hit what is required within the legislation. And then of course, there'll be some other things as well, but we're working on that this week.
Oh, that's great.
So more to follow.
Okay, terrific. Great. Any questions about that bill? No? Okay. Well, good news. More good news. Okay, let's see. Next item. Okay, so I just wanted to have just a couple minutes. I'm trying to keep us on point with time. I know we've expanded, but as close to an hour as I can keep us, I'm going to try, as I said. So I just wanted, Kevin, were you able to do something with the pictures? I wanted to just talk a tiny bit for just a minute or so, a couple minutes about the durable medical reuse facility tour that we did. If you haven't gone, I suggest maybe we can arrange another tour. Actually, when I was being vetted for this position, I mentioned it in my remarks to the committee, and they got very excited. So I'm in the process of trying to arrange a tour for the council committee, and maybe on that tour if some folks from our group wanted to come, we could arrange that. I'll see if that's possible. Kevin, were you able to do anything with those photos?
So we will post the pictures on the SWAC website. You want me to post some here, Nancy?
Oh yeah, I thought we were going to show them.
Hold on.
Yeah, great. We
Nancy,
like pictures.
Yeah, pictures are better.
Nancy, where is that facility located?
So it's on Crane Highway in Upper Marlboro. It's not really a program of the county. It's a joint program of Maryland Environmental Services and the Department of Aging. They have a director who's a PhD physical therapist, which seems very visionary to have that type of person in that position. The facility is in an fabulous old tobacco warehouse on Crane Highway that's been renovated. It's about 51,000 square feet. They collect medical equipment from all over the county, and it's mostly durable medical equipment. It's not disposable equipment, so it's a lot of it's focused on mobility. Okay, so there's a picture. This is in the room where they clean. They have machines where they clean the equipment, so they hose them down. But there's actually a big machine where they can stick it in. There's ultraviolet light, and they wash them. So everything is pretty much to medical grade standard of cleanliness. So the stuff gets donated from all over the state. And I would actually like to understand better how Prince George's County, this is something I think we can do. And maybe there it is. So that box that you see is like a super big washing machine. And so like a wheelchair will go in there and it washes it, but it also has ultraviolet light, which kills germs in several different directions. And so the stuff looks new, I have to say. So they collect materials, and then they've done a really good job on collections. They've collected, let's see, I noted 21,000 pieces of equipment is what they told us. They're distributing it at a rate of about 240 pieces per month. So here you can see the warehouse with all the processed, looks like mostly wheelchairs. So all this stuff would have been dumped in a landfill somewhere. And one of the things that's really fabulous about this program is that there's no income test. So anyone can have access to this equipment. You don't have to have a particular income. For the complex equipment, I guess, the complex wheelchairs and maybe the hospital beds, medical person has to verify that you actually need it. So they won't just give it to anybody. But after the tour, Barbara and I were standing outside talking for a few minutes, and a woman came in with a little girl in her arms, and maybe about 4 years old, and walked out with a wheelchair and a bunch of other equipment. It was really cool. So here you see, this is the room where they actually do the refurbishing. They have at least one full-time person who just does repair. So it's a really, really great program. I think it's something I would love to see some way that we could help do both, sort of get a better handle on how Prince George's is contributing to the collection of the materials, but they also really need help with distribution. They're not getting it out nearly as fast as they're getting it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So,
okay, great.
Yeah. So, and this is, the way the whole subject matter came up with SWAC, being made aware of this, and I'm going to send myself these pictures while we're talking so I can share our container. So we are participating in this program.
Okay, great.
And so we have as soon as these pictures come across, I'll share them with you. We have a collection box set up at our Brown Station Road Public Convenience Center.
Great.
And we've promoted it, through social media and our website and so forth. The container's well labeled. And we have been receiving a lot of material. And I'm very excited about it because, you know, I've gone over there, I take pictures, and I really hope this gets transmitted over to my email here while we're waiting, or while I'm talking, because I'd like to show it to you. But I'm really impressed with not just how much material we're getting, but the quality of the material. And so I'm going to be able to, hopefully, Kevin, will I be able to share my screen here? Because I do have the pictures up. Let me see. I don't know how to do it on this. Kevin, I'm going to send this email to you right now. It has the pictures that you can see of what we're collecting at our facility. And this, what MES does is they're on a regular schedule to pick up the material. And or if our container, it's a big C container, if it gets filled before the regularly scheduled pickup, you know, as soon as we call them, they're out within 24 hours. But it's been going extremely well. And it's just amazing at how fast, once we had that box in place, that the items, the durable medical equipment started coming. It's just amazing. And it really is just an exciting, you know, we look at it as not only, you know, waste diversion, because otherwise these, you know, this durable medical equipment may have been simply thrown out, you know, or put out with their bulky trash or whatever.
Oh my God. Wow.
But it's all getting diverted. So you see, you know, we have hospital beds, we have, you know, I call it the potty care, but, you know, the adult toilet seat, I guess you could call it, or toilet, walkers, wheelchairs. Kevin, I think there was one where I zoomed in another picture I had. But it's going very well. And so we are a full participant, as are many of the other counties around the state in this program that the state MES are partnering with the counties, because that is where they're getting the material, is from the local counties in the state of Maryland who are participating. So when they approached us with it, you know, of course we said, you know, yes, immediately. You know, they sent us over all the information about it, which we shared with SWAC. Yeah, it's a really great reuse program.
I've noticed.
Really nice. And then, you know, this is our employee here. You know, we monitor the box. They make sure only the acceptable items go in. And it's just really been a very nice service. And from my understanding, like Nancy said, the items do go back out to people who need the medical equipment, I believe at no charge.
Yep, no charge.
So, and these are people that might otherwise, you know, either not receive the equipment or could have been a financial burden or whatever, you know. So great program.
I'm noticing that many of the information that I'm sent from your department has reference to this program, and to, you know, encourage people to provide donations to it and that. So that's helpful too, I think, to get the word out.
Oh yeah. I mean, this box is full on their, I believe they're coming out, don't quote me on this, but I think it's once every 3 weeks, this big C container, which I believe is, it looks to be about 40 feet to me. It's either 30 or 40 foot container. It's pretty big. It's full. It's always, when they come, it's full. It's ready to go.
Wow.
So it's an astounding amount of durable medical equipment that we're receiving. And like I said, it's in such good condition. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, and they've said that the issue at this point is the issue of trying to get the materials out. And so I'm going to suggest at some point some kind of proposal for us to help support some way to alert people. When I told the council committee, nobody knew. They were all surprised and they all were excited about it. I mean, I'm sure what that means is they're not reading all their posts from the county like some of us do. But that's one thing I think where, you know, where we can, our education and outreach committee can maybe help figure out good ways to get the word out to people who need it. because there's certainly, I know from my work that there's a lot of people in need of these kinds of materials. So this is a fabulous partnership, and I'm very happy that the county's participating. And of course, it's in our county, so we have a special role. So any other thoughts on this? And again, if you're interested in going, just let me know, send me an email, and we'll try to either arrange a second tour or have you maybe come with another group. Okay, great, Marilyn. Thanks so much for all that.
You're welcome.
And thanks for really, I know how much you're committed to this stuff for many years. So I'm sure we're holding up our end very well.
Yeah, I mean, we envision, you know, there could be something similar for, you know, bicycles.
Yes, and actually I did talk to somebody, maybe, so that may be coming down the road, is somebody doing something on bicycles. Yeah, that would be great. Oh, and also this is the only state that's doing this. No one else is doing this. So we're the first. Okay, so a few more items. I did resend everybody your terms. And Barbara, Chuck, let's see, who else? Barbara and Chuck. Those are the, and Jonathan Madigu are up in November. Okay, so if you're renewing, I guess we need to be sure that we know so that goes forward. If you're going to leave us, please let us know that too. But make sure, check your dates, because after that, then it's November. Looks like it's now November of every year almost. Some people are terming off or on. Okay, let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all the items. Any announcements? And we'll go back to the Lecce conversation for just a minute or two. Any other announcements of things? Okay. All right. Were there any more questions? While we were waiting to have a quorum, Chuck had brought up, he had become aware of an application for permit to make changes to or expand, I'm not really sure which it is, the Lecce processing facility at Brown Station Road. And we were discussing that. I don't know if there's any other questions or thoughts. I say we'd hold it to the end of the meeting. Anything else? Did we cover that sufficiently?
Nancy, the only thing I requested from Kevin, if he could find out what the process is and who the ultimate authority is for approving whatever they do.
Okay.
Because I don't know if this application, you know, there isn't clearly an application that's been filed, but I don't know with whom, what government agency that is, or if it goes before Park and Planning, or what the process is. But there definitely is a formal application because it's got a number.
Right.
I will do my research on this, Chuck, and update your group.
Yeah, it's permanent. It'll be permanent by DPI. But Kevin, yeah, we can get back to them on that.
Okay, I also had on the agenda for new members, but I'm going to hold off on that because it gets complicated. If the ex officio person comes on, I think they become a commissioner, and that gets us up to 9. There has been some discussion of actually going back legislatively and maybe adjusting it so we can have a little bit more wiggle room for members, but I'm not going to worry about that tonight. Okay, I think that's it then. And look, what time is it? I took my watch off. It's only 8 after. See, only 8 minutes. Okay, the last question is are people going to be available in August? Because that's often really bad. Should we meet?
Maybe we can have a poll.
No, this is Jonathan Madagu. Do we have a month in a year that SWAC can take a vacation? because other commissioners and other departments, they do have, even the county council don't meet every month of the year. They have some section that they are closed. My recommendation, we have at least a month out of a year not to meet. That's my recommendation, because we do need vacation sometimes.
All right, other thoughts?
Nancy, there's a good possibility if you have a meeting in August, I will not be available.
Okay.
So that may affect your quorum. I don't know.
Well, that's the key. If there's not a quorum, then
If there's a good possibility in August, I will not be available.
okay. Bill, David?
It should be all right if you want to have one.
I'm okay.
Nyla?
I'm okay for now. We can always send out a poll, like a doodle poll or Survey Monkey or something, and that's fine too for availability purposes.
Okay, well then let's just go ahead as if we're going to have a meeting. I will double check maybe the second week of, like the end of the first week, and check and see, because we need a quorum to meet. If it looks like people know for sure they're not going to be there, we'll cancel and send a note. Otherwise, then if people are available, we'll have a meeting. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. We will follow up in the month, and appreciate if you get going with some of your committee work, so we can get moving on some items. I really would appreciate that. And thank you very much to Kevin and Marilyn. We really appreciate your support and help, and enjoy working with you guys. So thanks so much, and hope you have a good month. And maybe we'll be off in August. We'll see.
Good night.
Okay, you guys, thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.